So as I said, so we are going to discuss about the inquiries, various inquiries and reports available in accounts payable module. We'll see what are those that are very important, and let's try to understand what exactly the reports produce when we generate them. So I'm here in the accounts payable module in the Reliance legal entity. So under inquiries and reports, so I'll just close all the menus. So every module does have this page inquiries and reports. So here in the inquiries and reports, we have few inquiries as well as there are few reports as well within this page only. Here we have some reports as well as here we have reports related to vendors, reports related to purchase orders, and related to invoices and related to payments separately. Here when we see here when we have one of the inquiry, product receipt inquiry, we generally list out all the product receipt that have been created until now for the purchase orders. So you can see here, these are the list of product receipt we have done until now. And if you want them, if you want to sort it by purchase order or filter by with a purchase order, you can do that. Or if you want to check it through a product receipt number, you can check it here. You have all the product receipt numbers. Then if you want to sort it by date, you can see even from in a particular date range, which how many product receipts are posted, or on a particular date, how many product receipts are posted. You can easily track from here. Then you can see all the details regarding the product receipts. You know how to deal with this vouchers and all. So generally, when we open a product receipt for a purchase order, how the menu will look like, the exact menu will be the same here actually. All of them will be the same. So this is an inquiry where you can list out all your product receipts, and you can also see the lines within the product receipt by clicking here on the line. So it's a single line product receipt with 10 quantity of cricket balls. What's up? And going back, one of the very important report is this one, vendor aging report. So this vendor aging report will produce the details regarding the vendor balances pending from a uh, pending in particular period. So actually it shows a report with a set of columns with from period to period, and it will show the details in which particular period the vendor balance is being pending from. So we can run this report. Actually it takes a while to run this. It gives a good criteria to run the report. So actually you can check the aging balances of vendors, means the pending balances of vendors which are not yet paid and being aged or which are surpassing the due date. So you can check all those balances actually by running this report. You can say aging as of today's date or aging as of some other date. So suppose if I say aging as of 20th December, so balance as of 20th December, I would say. Then you can categorize the transactions on the basis of transaction date or on the basis of due date or on the basis of document date. Transaction date means the date on which the transaction is posted. Due date means the date on which the invoice is being uh, getting due. So after all adding the net terms of payment, so what will be the due date? So according to that due date, it will generate the report. So a document date means according to the invoice date that you give in every invoice. So we have a separate field called as invoice date in every purchase order invoice as well as vendor invoice journals that we posted. So accordingly, it will Accordingly, it will sort out the transaction. So the most picked criteria is due date. So mostly due date is used for looking into the aging transactions of the vendors. Can also define an aging period definition, which we would look further in another module. Actually, it will be in credit and collections module. Once we complete accounts receivable, we'll see how we can define this. Here you can customize your columns actually for every 15 days or for every 1 week, like that. And here you can say print aging period description. We are not going to print it anyway. Otherwise, you can run this report in this way. Take interval as 1 for every day or for every month, you can say. So for every 1 month, I'll see how vendor balances are being aged. And I want all the details to be printed. Include amounts in transaction currency. Anyway, accounting currency is enough. Negative balances not needed. Exclude zero balance accounts. So when there are no balances for vendors, if the vendor balance is zero, exclude them from the report. Okay. Payment positioning. So this means like there can be open transactions for the vendor, like payment transactions as well as invoice transactions. So when you enable this one, the payment transactions that are open, that are not settled with anything, will also show up, but they will show up at the top of the list of all the transactions. They will show at the top, and invoices will follow them. Usually that's the scenario. And you can also give the records to include like a single vendor or a vendor group, or you can also give set of vendors one by one. And you can print the report on the screen, or you can also change the destination of printing. You can take it to print archive, printer, or file, or anything. As I said, you can select the printing destination. I'll select the screen now so that it will be printed on the screen so that I can demonstrate. So you can run the batch processing. You can run this report in the batch, or you can run it on the screen. I'll just run it on the screen. Here it is, the report. So the report shows according to the vendor, the transactions will be shown up, and it will detail you the open transactions only as of the date that you are running the report. And you can identify. So since we have run the report according to the due date, you can see the transactions are in line according to the due date. So 1st December, 1st January, 12th January, 12th January, 13th January, 14th January, and 15th January are the due dates. And balance as of today's date is this much. For all the transactions, this much balance has to be paid for each of them. And due before 1st of December 2021, there are nothing due before 1st of December 2021. But 1st of December 21 to 31st December 2021, one transaction is getting due, as you see this one within this particular bucket or in this particular column. And in the month of January, you are liable to pay all these actually. So you can see all the 5 transactions are getting due on the month of January, from 1st of January to 31st of January. So exact dates you can see here actually. I mean, on the left hand side, you can see the exact due dates on which you have to pay these pending invoices of the vendor. You can see the invoice numbers too here. Then on the other months, you don't have anything due actually. So as you they are getting due only in the month of January. For the month of December, January, or after, sorry, month of February and March, and after March, you don't have anything to pay for this vendor. So up to now. Then we can go for another vendor, General Electric. You have only one invoice pending for this vendor. So this due date of this invoice is 17th of December, and this is falling in this bucket, in the 1st of December to 31st of December bucket, where you have to pay this invoice. So this will help you in managing your cash flows. I mean, when you have to pay which vendor, how much you have to pay in 1 month. In that particular month, it will show you the details, this report. And for the vendor number 3, as you can see here, you are due to pay this vendor in the month of December. You have these many transactions to be paid. The month of January, you have one. In the month of February, you have one. Also in the month of March, you have one. And after March also, you have some amount to be paid to the vendor. It's actually the same invoice number 25. I think it's broken into different schedules. So it's showing the amount according to the schedules actually, as you can see here. 3rd January, 2nd December, 1st of March, 1st of April. So the same invoice actually into 4 schedules being broken on, or we might have applied some manual schedule, I think. So accordingly, it's broken. And when you see here, the grand totals, as you can see in this state, when you have to pay how much in which month. So in the month of December, this one, from 1st of December to 31st of December, the grand total that you have to pay, total amount of 17,949 for all the vendors. Combinedly, you are due to pay this much amount. And out of the total due amount, like 100% means 1,61,000. In the December month, you are ought to pay only 11%. Coming to the January month, you have to pay 1,43,000, which is the measure of the due amount. So it's like 88.44%. Coming to February, March, you have this much percentage, and after March, you have this much percentage and this much amount to be paid. As I told you, it will detail you the amounts of dues that has to be paid to the vendors according to the due date. And if you run that report according to the transaction date, it generally shows the or details the transactions according to the transaction date and shows in which month the transactions are posted. That's all. How much trade we have done in this particular month, so like that it will show you the details. But most often they run it with the due date so that they can identify the aging balances according to the due dates. That's all. So when you see this one, the due date was 1st of November, and this is, you can see here, due before 1st of December 2021. So in this report, I mean, here the amount has to be paid before 1st of December only, but it was not paid. So it is showing which this is due before the report date actually. That's how you can export this report into any format you want, and you can share across your stakeholders. I mean, if in the to your department heads or anyone in the business normally. So I'll tell you something more interesting regarding this actually. This report only supports 6 buckets. As you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buckets only. So this one is normally the balance column. Other than this, it only shows other 6 columns. So when you define any aging period definition also, you can only define 6 columns, or this report could not accommodate more than 6 buckets actually. But one of the claim that I worked for has a requirement that they wanted more than 6 buckets in the report. Means they wanted 12 buckets actually. Means they from the starting of the year from January 1st to December 31st, for every month they want to see the details of how much vendor amount is pending according to the due dates. But here it only accommodates uh, six columns. So if you want to run such report, you have to configure it for every 2 months. So if you have a column for every 2 months, then you can accommodate the complete year in the report. But they want it for every 1 month, and they want all the 12 columns to be presented in the report, which is not possible in the standard format. So they have customized the report accordingly. I mean, with the same plan, but it will accommodate 12 buckets within the report and shows more details. For the complete year, it will show all the 12 columns according to each month and shows the details of vendor payments that are due, or vendor invoices that are due actually. So it's a small customization in the report. So vendors, clients would come up with a lot of requirements saying we need this kind of report. The report should show this much in these details and all. Mostly the SSRS reports available in Dynamics would accommodate their requirements, but if they have anything additional, yeah, you can work with your technical consultants to get them configured or customized. All that you have to understand is the requirement of the customer or the client and explain the same to the technical team. Actually, we have one like payment proposal where you can run the payment proposal or schedule a payment proposal every month so that all the due invoices for that particular month or period can be paid at a time. So for that, you can go to accounts payable. You can go to payments and payment journal. Takes a while to load. Just bear with it. So I'll create a new payment journal. Select vendor payment journal here. Okay. Go to lines. So here I'm not selecting any vendor or marking any invoices. I have an option here called as payment proposal. So look at this one. You can create a payment proposal here so that you can automatically generate the payment lines for all the pending invoices of the vendor. So how we can do that? Let's see. Here I'll click on payment proposal, create payment proposal. So select invoices according to the due date or cash discount date, or due date and cash discount date, your wish. I'll select it according to the due date, starting from 1st of December until 31st of December. Whatever are pending, I'm going to pay them. Okay, minimum payment date is also 31st of December. You can give an amount limit, how much amount of invoices that you want to select, or how much you can also keep an amount limit here. Or you can create payments without invoice preview, but I don't want to create payments without invoice preview. I want to preview them and then create payment lines. Let's see how we can. You can also include one vendor record or multiple vendors, or you can leave it blank so that you can run it for all the vendors. I'll just add only one vendor to make the example small. Let's run this for one vendor for whom we have done a lot of invoices, Tata company. So there are so many pending invoices for this vendor. But in the month of December, I see there would be only one invoice pending, so I'll take it until the month end of January 31st. Let's see, from December 1st to 31st of January 2022. It's 2 months of time. For the vendor one, you can give this criteria, method of payment, currency and all. You can also give some advance payments, like which currency, payment by weekday, offset account type. You can select check vendor balance before running the report. You can before running the proposal, you can select all of them, but it's not required though. I just selected this criteria, and minimum payment also selected 31st of January, and I'll click on OK. So when I click here, so it will generally show me all the list of invoices that are pending for the vendor, for which we can generate the payment lines for a payment. So here it is. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 invoices almost pending for the vendor that has to be paid. And most of them are having due dates as so and cash discount dates as so. And we are paying it on 31st of January. I mean, according to the payment date is taken here at 31st of January, since we are given the minimum payment date as so. And you can see the amount that we have to pay here for each of them, and the different methods of payment being used here. So actually, if it has to create a single payment line or multiple payment lines will be decided by this option that is there here. Within the method of payment check, actually we have this option called as total. Means all the invoices, pending invoices that are given with the method of payment check, all of them are combined into a single payment line. When we select this option as total. When we select this option as invoice, for every invoice there will be a single payment line created. So if there are sub 7 invoices there and all of them are using method of payment as check, you have to generate 7 checks. 7 payment lines will be created. Or if you give date, means according to the due date. So if at all two invoices are having the same due date as of today's date, so both of them are consolidated into a single payment line. And week means if the due dates are falling in the same week, then all those invoices will be consolidated into a single payment. The sum of the total invoices will be consolidated as a single payment, and single check can be generated. And if we select total, means as I said, all the invoices that are pending will be that are having the method of payment check will be consolidated into a single payment line. Let's see how it will work. So it's the same for every method of payment. Now we have 5 invoices marked with method of payment check, and other 2 invoices does not have any method of payment. So for these two, separate 2 lines will be created, and for this 5 a single payment line will be created, since in the method of payment we have selected as total. I'm assuming as so. Let's see how it will work. 7 lines are there, so I can click on create payments. You can remove few lines if you want to here. There is an option. If you don't want to pay any of the invoice, you can remove the lines as well. What's wrong? Something went wrong. See here, it went good only. There are only 3 payment lines created. 2 of them for which the method of payment was nothing, and for the 5 invoices where the method of payment was given as check, automatically all the 5 lines are combined into a single payment line. It is because in the method of payment we have used that option as total. So this period as total. So if you use that as total, means all of the invoices pending with the method of payment check will be combined or consolidated into a single payment line for one vendor. So if it is for another vendor, it will create another line for another vendor, because you can't generate two single check for 2 vendors, right? So that's how. But if you use another period within the method of payment like invoice, so 5 other lines would have been created here. One payment line for each invoice pending. But here they are consolidated into a single payment line. This is one way we can generate automatic payments on monthly basis. You can come here and generate payments by running the payment proposal for the vendors. And every day you can do that, or every week you can do that. Up to you. So according to the company's payment policy and the vendor's payment policy, you can make payments to the various vendors. Now we also have another automatic payment process, which is not there in this version of Dynamics, but we have automatic payments for vendors, which is recently introduced feature. So which would automatically also generate payments for the vendors on monthly basis, and you can cross check and post them after they are generated. That is also there. That is something else. And what else we have? Let's get back to the inquiries and report that we were discussing about. So we have seen this vendor aging report. You can also run this vendor transactions report, which would generally show you the list of vendor transactions. So exchange rates according to the invoice date. Okay. Or adjusted date means when you run the foreign currency revaluation in case. You can also include reverse transactions. Do you want to see only open transactions as well as both open and closed transactions? Or you want to see only closed transactions. Closed means the ones that are settled. Open means the ones that are not settled and pending amount has to be settled. Open and closed means both of them. According to your requirement, you can select. You can also see the settlement details means in case if you are running the report for closed transactions also, it will show you which transaction is settled with which transaction, the details. You can include the records like only for one vendor you can filter and run the report, or if you leave it over like blank, so it will run the report for all the vendors at a time. Again, it will take a while to load. Here it is. You can see the transactions, all the transactions for each vendor. So this is for Tata company. You can see all the list of transactions you have posted and the amounts, either credits or debits. You can see them. So debits means all payments and credit means all the invoices. And you can also see the settled vouchers and the other side which transaction is settled with which transaction. And if you can also navigate to the voucher of the particular transaction, suppose if I want to see the voucher of this transaction, when it was posted and how much, so you can click on this. This is the voucher number. It will automatically take me to the voucher inquiry. Here it is. It will show me the accounts being used and the balances posted in the reporting currency, as well as all the details when they were posted and modified. Okay, if I close it, I can again come back to the report here. It's the same for all vendors. It will show the list of transactions posted for the vendors. And if you want to see only the open transactions, since you want to pay them, you can run the report only for open transactions. You could have selected the criteria as only open transactions when you are generating the report. So it would show you the list of the ones. One second. And then we have history by transaction report. This will also show you the list of transactions only, but it will show you in more detail the list of transactions, the vouchers and the journal batch numbers, as well as the settled transactions. It will show you in more detail. You can also run this report. Then you have some important reports as account statement. You can run a vendor account statement, which will generally show you the details of the vendor. Let's see. So you can run from which state to which state, from 1st of November to till date. Assessment date is also today's date. Discount not required. Only open transactions you can say, or you can leave it. I need offset account. Show all transactions and run it on the screen. Here you can see again the same kind of transactions for the same vendor, vendor by vendor, and you can see the report in a different structure. I mean, it shows you the amounts, subtotal amounts, as well as the discounts that you have taken and the offset account that you have used for each of the invoices. If it is a um, vendor invoice journal, you would normally see the offset account as the expense account, and if it is a payment transaction, you will see a bank account number. As if it is a invoice transaction, a pay purchase order invoice transaction, you will usually see the multiple say offset accounts actually, because you generally have multiple of them, right? Not only just inventory account, you have lot of lines in the voucher, so it will show multiple for such kind of transactions or PO invoices. That's how this statement shows. And other than this, we can see top 100 vendors with whom you are doing the trade until. So it will show you the top 100 vendors according to the turnover you have dealt with them. Then vendor balance list, it will show you the list of vendor balances, how much balance is there for each vendor, starting from 1st of November to today's date, suppose. Report period, start date. No, you can also give the same number first actually, sorry for that. Okay. So you can see there are 4 vendors, and it will just show you the report like a trial balance. The opening balance as of 1st November 2021 for all the vendors is this much, and within the month of from starting from 1st of November to today's date. So this much is the debits you have done for the vendor. This much are the credits you have done for the vendor. And this is in reporting currency. No, this is also the same actually. It should be in transaction currency and this should be in accounting currency. And you can see the total amounts at the end, and you can see the closing balance. I mean, closing balance and total amount will be the same actually. But I mean, it is showing the total amount according to that period. I mean, debit minus credit, and closing balance after combining the opening balance to the total, it is showing the closing balance. I'm sorry. It's a kind of trial balance which would indicate the vendor balances. So when our vendor balance list, this is the final closing balance pending on the vendors until today's date. This much amount we have to pay to the vendors. 1,60,000, 61,768. And then we have vendor invoice turnover. You can also run this, and you can see vendor phone list. You can get the vendor phone numbers automatically if you run this. Vendor to ledger reconciliation. This is one of the important reports where you can check the reconciliation differences. If there is normally when you post any transaction from accounts payable, it will be posted to general ledger also. You know that accounts are linked automatically. Accounts payable account is linked through posting profile, or the prepayment account is linked through posting profile. So when you are posting such transactions from subledger, automatically the general ledger voucher also will get posted. And if there is any such differences between subledger to general ledger, you can run this report and identify the differences. So you can click on include details, click on OK. It will show you the list of transactions posted with that general posting profile, and if there is any difference of the voucher amounts from subledger to general ledger, it will show you the difference amounts. If there are no differences, usually there won't be any differences until and unless users commit any mistakes, or if there are any technical issues or data corruptions. So that you can check here normally in the report. You can see here. So when you posted such transaction, the vendor balance is affected with this much amount, as well as the behind the vendor ledger balance is also affected with this amount. There is no difference. So you can see, but for one of the transaction, there is a difference, as you can see in this one, which is posted on 12/15/2021. 1080 is what you have posted as a vendor balance, but for ledger it is posted to 1200. There is a 120 difference. So we can identify why this difference is there. Normally, how much ever the balance that you post to the vendor, the same will be posted to the ledger also. So what is this transaction? This one, Reliance 000215. Here you have accounts payable 18,080 and accounts payable 120. Both are not in the same voucher. They are in the same voucher. Payments to vendors, it is also the same actually. Prepayments to vendors. Okay, this is into prepayment posting profile, right? Accounts payable versus posting profile. Settlement voucher, I think. There is some difference it is showing according to the settlement voucher. This is what accounts payable account and the prepayment account generally comes. This happens during the settlement only. When you are settling two transactions which are posted with different posting profiles, you will get this type of settlement entry. It is showing some differences according to this settlement entry, so which we might have to check later. Or since you have another posting profile involved, it is showing some difference here. Otherwise, all are good. This is one. And then other important report we have. In this one, this will generally give you the details of the vendors. This vendors report will give you the name of the vendor, address, phone number, contact details. All of them can be generated in this report. Here it is. When you generate this report, it will give you the address and name of the vendor, address of the vendor, then the phone number, email, telex number, as well as the net, default details that we have given to the vendor, like the currency, as well as the terms of payment, discounts, price groups, sales tax groups, modes of delivery, what are we have given in the vendor master. For all these fields, the data will be generated as a report here in this when we generate this vendor report. This is one. And we have purchase order reports. Ledger postings for purchase orders means it will show you the list of transactions that are posted when you worked on purchase orders. So for whatever the purchase orders you have done, so the transactions that are posted for those purchase orders will show up in this report. You can select a date interval not required, starting from not 1st January. I'll just run it for the 1st of November to until 31st of December. And then click on OK. Here it is. Ledger postings for purchase orders, as you can see. Posting types, you can see cost of material purchase received. So for every journal number, you can see we can categorize by accounts, and by account it is showing actually, you can see. So this main account, inventory received or cost of material received account is being debited or credited in these many scenarios or in these many vouchers. Or you can also see the accounts payable account here. Generally, you can go to the next page by clicking on here. So the accounts payable account is being used in a lot of situations or vouchers. Here it is. The accounts payable account is being credited in most of the scenarios, but debited in one scenario, 2,500. This should be the credit note, I guess so. or not, should not be a payment transaction. Since it's a purchase order, it should be a written order or credit note where it is debited. The rest all you can see. I mean, and the purchase order vouchers are broken by each account or each main account. According to each main account, the transactions are listed down here, where the accounts payable account is credited most of the times. You can see these are all the vouchers. So once I open this one, suppose if this 1000 voucher, it will show me the details of the purchase order invoice here, where accounts payable is credited, product purchase expenditure, sorry, this one inventory received is also created, and inventory invoiced is debited. Accrued purchase and inventory received are debited and created, which is reversal of product receipt, and accounts payable is created and inventory invoiced is debited, which is the original invoice entry. So it should be for one of the invoice that we have posted earlier. That's how the transactions are categorized according to the main account that are being used in the invoice vouchers normally. Then, okay, we'll go back to the first page again. Or we can close this one here. Then we have under invoices, we have approval journal history. This is for vendor invoice registration and approval process. Then we have this one invoice journal, which is a very important inquiry. If you click on this invoice journal, we have already seen this one. This will normally open you the list of invoices that you have posted until now for all the vendors, regardless of if it is a purchase order invoice or a non-purchase order invoice. You can see all of them here. These are the total number of invoices that we have posted until now for the vendors. Most of them for the vendor one. For 2, 3, 4 also we have few. And whenever you see a purchase order, which means that it is a purchase order invoice. When you don't see any purchase order here, which means it's a normal invoice journal. You can also see the voucher, it's VIJ vendor invoice journal. For the rest all, it is a purchase order invoice actually. So you can see the purchase orders. And here again, it's vendor invoice journals. You can always filter with the invoice number if you want to track any invoice, or you can filter with a purchase order. You can filter with according to the date or the voucher number or the amounts if you want to. So this inquiry will help you to identify the invoices posted with the invoice number. And once selected an invoice, you can see the voucher as well as other details. Or you can click on this one and go to voucher, or you can go to purchase order directly by clicking on this one. It will open the purchase order automatically. So it is here, the purchase order is open and you can see the status is invoiced and other details on the purchase order. Then after this, what else we have? So you have under invoice transactions report 1, and then we have one more report where it is missing. Yeah, accrued purchases excluding sales tax report. This one report normally shows you the details of goods that you have received but not invoiced. So there can be there can be multiple purchase orders in business where you might have received some goods, but you forgot to invoice them or you did not invoice them since you did not receive invoice from the vendor yet. So such kind of accrued purchases means for which goods that we have booked an accrual entry. Normally during product receipt, accrual entry is booked, right? So that can be identified in this report, accrued purchases excluding sales tax report. So if I click on this, let's see if we have any purchase order which is received. So I'm taking cutoff date as today's date and display items. I'll click on OK. If there are any such purchase orders on which the goods are received but not invoiced, we can see them here. I think we should have one or two. Yeah, there are two purchase orders, as you can see. Purchase order number 15, on which 10 quantity is being received, and date of received as when you posted the product receipt is 18th of December, and actual cost is 1000, and you did not invoice them. If you would have invoiced them, that will not show in this report. And there is also purchase order number 16, I mean again of the same quantity and received on the same date for the 1000 cost only, which is not invoiced yet. So total amount of 2000 is received but not invoiced, or accrual is booked and pending. If at all you clear the accrual, I mean once you post the original invoice, the accrual will get cleared, right? Product receipt entry will get reversed, then it will not show up in this report. But when it's an valid accrual, it will show up in this report as a goods that are received but not invoiced. So these are the few goods that are left over to be invoiced. Then on payments, we don't have many, but you can see the reports of vendor posted payment journal report and promissory note journal report. You can see this one, vendor posted payment journal report. Actually, you can select the criteria by check or journal batch, or you can see all the payments that are posted for vendors until now. So these are the payment transaction that are posted. You can see this payment transaction vendor, I mean for this vendor one, how much payment you have done, 1000 payment. So this is being settled with this invoice number 89. Actually, once you have settled it for 1000, again you reversed it, again you settled it, so it is showing 3 times normally. Here, as you can see, there is another payment transaction of 500 for which this invoice of 500 is settled. Tata invoice 23 is settled with this 500. So it shows the list of payment transactions as well as the invoices that are settled to them here. First you see the payment transaction, and then you see the invoice that is settled to it. And next you will see this one. 1200 payment is done for the vendor on 19th November, and invoice is also done on 19th November for 1200, which is settled with this. So that's how you can see the details of each payment journal as well as the invoices settled against those payment journals in this report. So that covers all the important reports that are in the accounts payable module. Other than this, we don't have any standard important reports, but in case if clients come up with a lot of requirements, you might have to customize reports. I mean, you have to draw a plan for customization, which you will not be involved anyway. But normally the business consultants and the architects will come up with a plan of how a report has to look like, and you have to understand the plan normally. And technical consultants will configure such kind of customized reports, and you might be given a chance to test those reports if the data is being exported correctly or not, if the report is being generated correctly or not, by enabling or disabling different parameters. When you generate the report, you have a lot of criteria and parameters, right? So accordingly, and we have one more topic like accounts payable parameters to be discussed, that we will discuss in the first half of the class tomorrow, and we will start with accounts receivable in the tomorrow's class itself. The parameters would usually take 15 to 20 minutes, not more than that. The rest will start with the accounts receivable module. So that would be all for today.